from different countries, especially Portuguese spoken countries, and
Uh-huh.
because he speaks Spanish fluently and he
Mm-hmm.
works with it in courts. And
Mm-hmm.
now when he noticed that Spanish is very close to Portuguese, he decided to find someone who could teach Portuguese to him. And I also take advantage of him learning English from him.
Yeah, very cool. That's excellent. And has he improved his Portuguese since you guys have been working together?
Oh, shame on me because his Portuguese is better than my English.
Oh, well, I'm sure you're both helping each other quite a bit. I believe that speaking is the best way to really learn a language because when
Yeah,
you have to use it, you really have to think about how the language works, you know?
yes, uh, I agree.
Well, you're in the right class, Raphael, because we're talking all about travel plans today. So you're in the perfect place.
Yes, I'm excited.
Good. And let's see, we've got some other students here with us. Is it Ivan or Ivan? How do you say your name?
It's the same, no problem. Ivan, hi Ivan, no problem.
Okay.
Okay, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Oh, not bad. Thank you for asking me.
And where are you from,
I'm
Ivan?
from Italy.
From Italy?
Yeah,
Which part?
I'm South Italy in Milan.
Oh, okay. Nice. I actually visited a friend in Milan a few years ago, and it was very hot. It was in September, so maybe not the best time to visit, but I did think it was very beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's very hard. The weather is very problem for population. It's not good the period when I visited the North Italy. It's
Hmm.
better in the weather. The,
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah,
Or perhaps to go to the lakes or the seaside.
yeah.
Great. Well, welcome to my class. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, my pleasure.
And we also have, let's see, Francis. Are you there, Francis?
Yes, teacher. How are you? Good
Good.
morning.
Good. Oh, yeah. Good morning. Where are you coming from, Francis?
I'm from Nicaragua, but now I live in the Providence, Rhode Island. I had 2 years living here.
Where did you say? I'm sorry, it was a little difficult to hear.
I come from Nicaragua,
Uh-huh.
Managua,
Uh-huh.
but now currently I live in Providence, Rhode Island.
Oh, okay. So you're in the U.S.
Yes.
Okay. So Francis, I usually have my students turn off their video. So you can see at the top of your screen there's a little camera button, and you can turn off the camera, and that will improve your connection so we can hear you better.
Okay.
Okay. And we've got Shafar with us. Hi, Shafar. How are you?
Hello, teacher. I am fine.
And where do
Thank
you
you.
come from, Shafar?
I am come from Indonesia. Yeah.
Indonesia, that's right. I remember
Mhm.
you from before.
Thank
Welcome
you.
back.
Yeah, thank you.
And then we also have Antonio. Is that correct, Antonio?
Hello?
Hi. Antonio, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. And where are you from, Antonio?
I'm from Spain, Andalusia.
Oh,
It's in
very
the
nice.
south of Spain.
Some of my students know this, but I actually used to live in Spain, but
Mhm.
not in the south. I lived in Galicia in the north. So
Exactly.
I'm familiar with Spain. What city are you from?
I live in the southeast, in Almería.
Okay, in the southwest.
Southwest.
hmm Great. Well, welcome. We have a very international group here today. We've got someone
Mhm.
from Spain, someone from Italy, someone from Nicaragua who's living in the U.S., and Rafael comes from Brazil, and Shafar from Indonesia. So we're all over the map. And so I'm Maureen, if you haven't been in my class before, and I come from California, but right now I'm in Germany visiting friends for the summer. And I was telling Rafael that I just returned from a 4-day trip to Sweden. So I've got travel on the brain today, and I thought we could have a fun class and talk about travel plans for the summer. So we're going to start doing a little bit of reading. So this is an intermediate class. We're going to read to work on vocabulary and pronunciation. And then if we have some time, we'll have a discussion about travel plans related to this summer. Okay? So let me...
Teacher,
Yes.
excuse me. Before you start the class, I want a favor. I want to know what is the difference and words travel, trip, joining. Is word words. I don't know the difference for tourists.
Sure.
Uh, Talk and the concept.
Yeah, sure. So the main point to know is that when we say travel, we usually mean the verb to travel. Okay? So it's used as a verb, and it can be used as an adjective, for example, travel plans. Okay? In that case, it's used as an adjective. But when you're talking about the noun version, the noun would be trip. So when you travel, a verb, you're taking a trip. So the common mistake that people make is they say, I'm planning a travel to Sweden. That is not correct. You can say, I'm planning a trip to Sweden, or I will travel to Sweden. So our verb is to travel, and our noun is trip, a trip. Okay? And you said another word that you weren't sure about. Could you repeat that word?
When the people may in town trip, what you say when the people for example, they go excursion interior of country. They use another word is join it. Well, I never journey.
Journey. Okay, so
Yes.
a journey is another noun. It's like a trip, but it can be a small trip, but maybe smaller. So you could take a journey to the next city, the city next to your town, but you could take a trip to another country. So journey is like more talking about the idea of going to a place. But a trip means that you're taking either a vacation or you're going traveling, basically. Okay? So yeah, mainly the point to remember is that when you're talking about the noun, you want to say a trip or a vacation. Now that's American English. We say a vacation, and in British English they say a holiday. Okay? So you've probably heard the term like, oh, I'm going on holiday to Spain. But in the United States, we say I'm going on vacation to Spain. Okay, so if there are any other words that you don't know the meaning of for anyone in the class, just type them into the VerbLink chat and I'll answer those questions, okay? All right,
Can I ask you
so...
something?
Sure.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
This question remind me of another question that I have, because you said that trip is a noun, and I know that, but I've been learning English songs for a long time, and in a song, someone says that I am not tripping, I'm just missing you. Is it? Can I use it like a verb? When I say trip as a verb, does it mean to travel? Something like that?
Interesting question, Raphael. Now, this is going to go into some interesting territory here. Tripping as a verb means to take drugs. So when you say to trip as a verb, it means to be high on drugs. So when you say I'm tripping, it means you've taken some really strong drugs, and you're kind of like out of your mind.
Oh,
So
thank you.
it doesn't have anything to do with travel in the physical sense. It has to do with travel in like a drug-induced kind of sense. So it's related to the idea, but it's very specifically only used to talk about when people take, like in the 1970s, people would take acid or LSD, the drug, and they would say to trip on acid. Okay? So if someone says, I'm not tripping, I'm just missing you, to be tripping means to be on drugs. So this person's saying, I'm not on drugs, I'm telling you the truth, this is how I really feel, I'm just missing you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So it's good to know the difference between traveling and tripping, because there's a very big difference. Okay, and we have another student in the class, but I'm not sure what your name is because it's written in a different alphabet. So, I is that correct? Igor?
Igor.
How do you say it? Igor. Okay. Hi, Igor. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And where do you come from?
I'm from Russia.
Okay, wow, we have a very international group today. So welcome to Igor, and we're going to get started reading this short article on travel. And this article comes from Anthony Bourdain. Have any of you heard of Anthony Bourdain before? He's a very famous American chef. He's a famous chef and a famous author. And he also is a TV personality. So he has a television show called No Reservations. And he is very famous for traveling all over the world and eating food from different places in the world. And he was kind of like the first person to invent the travel food type of show. So he wrote an article for Esquire magazine. You can see in the VerbLink chat, there is the link to the article. And Anthony Bourdain is known for being very rock and roll. He's a little bit inappropriate, but he's also very funny, and he has a lot of fans for his style. So let's take a look at this article, because as someone who loves to travel, I found this article really interesting, and I saw that he had some excellent travel tips that you won't hear from any other person. Okay.
Excuse me, Maureen.
Yeah?
Can you put the link in Google Chat? I couldn't access. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. There you go. And that way anyone who's watching this class can click on the link too. And okay, so this article, Anthony Bourdain, How to Travel. So here we have a picture of him. It's not the best photo I've ever seen. He's very famous for being a chef who's outspoken. He's an author, and he has his own TV show. So I'm going to read this first section to get us started, and then we're going to take turns reading short sections and hearing his advice. Okay. Anthony Bourdain, How to Travel, because the man travels a lot. The globe-trotting chef, author, and TV host estimates that he's been away from home about 250 days a year for nearly the past decade, which makes him, among other things, one of the world's foremost experts in surviving the constant indignities of travel. Here, Bourdain proffers some wisdom on withstanding the tribulations of life on the road. Okay, so this seems like it might be a little confusing. There's a lot of important vocabulary here. For example, globe-trotting. To trot is a verb that means it's kind of in between walking and running. So it's something that horses do. It's like running like a horse. So he's moving all over the globe. Globe-trotting means traveling all over the world. And he's a foremost expert in surviving the constant indignities of travel. What do you think it means? Constant indignities of travel. Anyone?
I think it's some kind of problems.
Yeah, so there's a lot of trouble when you go traveling. There's things you forget, there's problems, you have to go through passport control. There are lots of little things that can go wrong about travel. So he's an expert on how to get through the troubles that pop up when you're traveling.
I think
So here,
hurt has something to do with their dignity.
yeah, so sometimes it has to do with your dignity, like things can be sort of embarrassing if you use the wrong word when you're trying to speak in a foreign language, or if you accidentally go into the wrong area. It's like making a faux pas, which some of you might know is a small mistake.
Especially when
And
culture
yes?
differences.
Yeah, so we know that with cultural differences, there's sometimes things that go unsaid and little misunderstandings. So here is Anthony Bourdain's advice for how to survive these misunderstandings. All right, so let's start with, let's see, who was the first to join the class? We'll go with Raphael. Could you read the first section? And everyone else, I want you to follow along and read silently to yourself and look for new vocabulary or phrases that you don't understand, okay? And if there's a word you don't know, I want you to type it into the Verbling chat, okay? So Raphael, whenever you're ready, you can read the next section.
Okay. The first thing I do is I dress for airport. I dress for security. I dress for the worst scenario. Comfortable shoes are important. I like desert boots because they go off and very quickly. They're super comfortable. You can beat the hell out of them, and they're cheap.
Okay, good. So there's an important word to know here, and that's the word desert, okay? So we're going to tell the difference right now between desert and dessert. So the word desert,
Sandyland.
the emphasis is on the first syllable, okay? So the stress is on the first syllable, desert, okay? And if you notice, desert has one S, okay? The other word, dessert, the emphasis is on the second syllable, like this, dessert, and if you notice, it has two S's. So here's how you can remember the difference. Desert is the hot and sandy place like the Arabian desert, and it only has one S. So remember that because you only want to go there one time, right? But dessert has two S's, and that means candy, cake, ice cream, anything sweet that you have after dinner. And it has two S's because you want to have it twice. Okay, that's my little way to remember the difference between desert and dessert. Okay, can everyone repeat after me? Desert.
Desert.
A desert.
Desert.
Good. And now we have dessert.
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 Good. Okay. So, were there any words or phrases in that section that you did not understand?
Beat the hell out of them. What that means?
Okay, so to beat the hell out of something is to use it a lot or to knock them around. For example, you can throw them in your suitcase, you can wear them in the rain, you can really make them very tough. They're very tough and you can kind of beat them up and they'll be fine. So you can beat the hell out of them, meaning you can put them through all kinds of challenges and they will survive. Okay? All right, and we also have Rafa here with us. Hi, Rafa.
Hi, teacher. Sorry for the delay.
And
Hi,
that's
everyone.
okay. How are you doing today, Rafa?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you.
Excellent. Okay, and let's go over to, let's see, Antonio, could you please read the next section?
Okay. In my carry-on, I have a notebook, yellow legal pad, good headphones. Imodium is important. The necessity or the necessity for Imodium will probably present itself, and you don't want to be caught without it. I always carry a scrunchy lightweight down jacket. It can be a pillow if I need to sleep on a floor. And the iPad is essential. I load it up with books to be read, videos, films, games, apps, because I'm assuming there will be a downtime. You can count on good films on our airplane.
Okay, you can't count on good films on an airplane. So Antonio, really try to, when you're saying can't, try to make the final t sound really strong, because otherwise it sounds like you're saying you can, which is the opposite. So you can't.
Pronounce the final T. Okay.
So
You
pronounce
can.
that final T. You can't count on good films on an airplane. And he's assuming there will be downtime. What is downtime? Any guesses?
When you're not feeling entertained,
When you're not entertained, free time is another way to put that. That's good. And you need to fill up your time with some activities. For example, with books and video games and films, because there's going to be plenty of downtime. You never know when your plane will be delayed by several hours. Okay, what are some words in this section that are not familiar?
I'm counting about you can't count on good films. Uh, I don't understand that.
Okay, so to count on means to rely or to expect. So you can't rely on an airplane to have a good film, or you can't expect that the airline company will have a good film to watch. So you have to rely on yourself. You have to bring your own good films to watch. That means to count on something. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good. Okay. And then Raphael asked, what does scrunchy mean? Does anyone know the word scrunchy? It's kind of like a sort of like a slang word. It's an adjective. Can be made very, very small by folding it up. So you can scrunch something up. I'm going to show you what I mean. Let me turn off the screen share and show you what I mean. So let's say I had a piece of clothing and I scrunched it up real small. And I could use it as a pillow. So to fold it up or make it really, really compact, really small. So you can also take a piece of paper, which I don't have any paper on this desk, but you can scrunch up a piece of paper and make it into a ball and throw it away. Okay? That's not a very common adjective, so it won't be used very much. And let's hear from Shafar next. Could you read the next section, please?
Okay, teacher. I checked my digits. I had the people struggling to cram their digits in an overhead bin. So I don't want to be one of those people.
Okay, so I hate the people struggling to cram their luggage in an overhead bin. So I don't want to be one of those people. I bet you can guess what he means by to cram.
Yeah, I don't know this word, but maybe I can guess that maybe they handle these digits in their face maybe.
Yeah, it's like when you imagine someone pushing their luggage and to push something really hard. To squeeze in, that's right. So you're taking your luggage and you're pushing it really hard to try and get it to fit into a small space. So trying to cram all this luggage by fitting it into this overhead bin. And he says that's really annoying. He hates when people are fighting to push their luggage into the overhead bin. And he decides he doesn't want to be one of those people, so he's always going to check his luggage. Some people try not to check their luggage because if it's sitting in the overhead bin above you, you know it won't be lost. Any questions about that one? Okay, let's move on. Let's hear from, let's see, or could you read the next section, please? I'm going to scroll up. Make it a little bit bigger. There you go.
Okay. On the plane, I like to read a fiction set in a location I'm going to. Fiction is in many ways more useful than a good book because it gives you those little details and a sense of the way a place smells, an emotional sense of the place. So, will bring Graham Grant's The Quiet American if you go to Vietnam. It's good to feel romantic about destination before you arrive.
Good. Okay, so it's good to feel romantic about a destination before you arrive. Now, he doesn't mean romantic in the love sense, like a romantic relationship. He means romantic in the sense of it has a dream-like quality, or you can picture it in your mind. So people are often romantic about, for example, Italy. They think of beautiful old cities and ruins, and then they think of delicious food and the beautiful language, and so people romanticize cities in Italy. And let's see, when it says fiction is in many ways more useful than a guidebook because it gives you those little details. What do you think that means, Igor?
Can you repeat it?
This line, fiction is in many ways more useful than a guidebook because it gives you those little details. What does that mean?
Okay. Where are we? Just don't remember.
Right there in the, here, let me highlight the sentence I'm referring to. What do you think they mean by this?
There's many ways more useful than a guidebook because you use those little distance. I think it's guidebook, some kind of, it's all about information, but a fiction book is really about details. It's really about how the place looks. It's not about what the place is like, but how it looks, how it feels.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, how it looks,
can give you a better insight on what to expect.
Exactly. Very good. Yeah, I agree with that definition. It kind of gives you more of a sense of what it feels like to be in the place, not just information about where to find a certain museum or how the subway system works or something like that. So if he's going to Vietnam, he'll bring this book, Graham Greene's The Quiet American, which is set in Vietnam and gives a very lush and rich description of what it feels like to be in the country of Vietnam. I think it's good to do that too. For example, I went on this trip to Sweden, and most of you have probably heard of the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series. And I was very excited to see the parts of Stockholm where that book takes place. And it made me feel like I knew the city of Stockholm a little bit because I had been picturing it in my mind ever since I read The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Do any of you do this? Do you read fiction set in the location of where you're going?
But maybe it will be had a lot of time teacher because fiction is more more text than good book, right?
Yeah, so you have to have a lot of time to read about it, and you have to find the right book too. But sometimes you can even read about the place while you're there, and it can inspire someone to learn more about that country. I know I feel inspired to learn more about Sweden after having such a great trip there this past week.
Yeah, on the line, if I may, I went to Greece, and first of all, I read a book about Greece, ancient times, and when I arrived there, it was only ruins, but it was so nice to try to imagine what it goes when the ancient times in the novel, fiction novel, was pretty
Exactly.
nice.
Yeah, so you had that experience, Rafa, of picturing the ruins of ancient Greece as though they were in the ancient times, with people giving speeches and basically you could picture what it must have been like when it was in its highest point. Great. Okay. And let's go to, let's see, Yvonne, could you read the next section, please?
Oh, yes. Okay. Before getting on a flight, I buy a big pile of magazine, and I am a big fan of airport message. I will get a share message if there's on a Bible or a food message. If there's food available, load up on whether the local specialty is. In Tokyo, I'll get ramen. In Singapore, I'll get something from the airport Hawker Center. Shake Shack and the Kennedy Airport is the best. Half-through airport food opinion in the state are usually really bad.
So airport food options in the United States or in the States are usually really bad. But he's
Yeah.
saying he kind of, he's someone who enjoys the airport. He gets a big pile of magazines. He's a fan of airport massages. Okay, so can you repeat after me? Massage?
Massage.
Okay, massage.
Massage.
Good. So he means those chairs you can sit down in, and someone will rub your shoulders and rub your back to work out all the tension in your muscles. And even a foot massage. So some airports have places where you can get a foot massage, which seems a little strange to me, but I guess it probably feels really nice when you're traveling to have someone rub your feet. And he likes to get the local specialty. He'll load up on the local specialty. To load up means to get or have. Okay, so he'll have a lot of ramen when he's in Tokyo because that's the local special food, the local specialty. Or in Singapore, he'll get something from the airport's hawker center. So a hawker is someone selling something. So in this case, he's referring to maybe there's like a market where there are several vendors selling something, and they're hawking their supplies. Sort of an old-fashioned word, so don't worry about it too much. But to hawk something is like the same as to sell something. And then he says, Shake Shack at Kennedy Airport is the best. For those of you who don't know, Shake Shack is a very famous hamburger place in New York City. And they're famous all over the United States for having really delicious hamburgers and milkshakes, something that we're very into eating here in the U.S.
Yeah.
I can't deny it. I love hamburgers. Such a stereotype. Okay, any questions about that section? Okay, moving on. Who have we not heard from yet? Let's go to, let's see, Francis, could you read the next section, please, starting with I never ever.
Me neither, Rafa.
Okay, we'll come to you next. Okay, Francis, are you there?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, could you?
I never ever tried to whistle grace. I one of those people who feel really embarrassed about wedding. I never hardly overpriced. I sort of wander away out of shame when someone does that. I'm socially non-functional in those situations.
Okay, so he used quite a few words there that might be unfamiliar to you. So a weasel is an animal. It's a very intelligent but sneaky animal. It's known for playing tricks. And in this case, it's used as a verb. So to weasel is to try to get something you don't deserve. Okay? You can also say, Igor, you say to avoid. That would be to weasel your way out of something. So there's the expression to weasel your way out of something means to get out of an obligation or to avoid something, but to weasel in this case is referring to get something that you don't really deserve. So a person who's trying to weasel an upgrade is saying to the flight attendant, oh, you might not know this, but I'm very famous, and I do a travel show where I review different airlines, and then they might feel like they have to give you a first class plane ticket. So he's saying that he never does this. He's sort of ashamed of people who do that. So he feels embarrassed and he wanders away. He goes away when someone does that because he's embarrassed for them. Okay, any questions? I know there's a lot of unfamiliar vocabulary in this section, and I know that he uses a lot of phrases that are maybe not exactly clear, but my point is I'm trying to show everyone that reading articles that are written for English speakers is going to be a great way to really challenge you to expand your vocabulary and to understand ideas based on context. It's really good practice and really will push you out of the intermediate level and into advanced. Okay, and Rafa, you are hoping for your turn, so let's hear from you next, please. Rafa? Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, okay. Get jet lags as long as I don't get jet lags as long as I get my sleep. As tempting as it is to get really drunk on the plane, I avoid that. If you take a long flight and get off hungover and dehydrated, it's a bad way to be. I'll usually get on the plane, take a sleeping pill, and sleep through the whole flight. Then I'll land and whatever's necessary for me to sleep at bedtime in the new time zone. I'll do that.
Okay, great. So he gets on the plane and he takes a sleeping pill and sleeps the whole flight. And in the next line he says, then I'll land and whatever is necessary for me to sleep at bedtime in the new time zone, I'll do that. So he's basically saying he doesn't like to drink alcohol on the plane because it makes you wake up feeling hungover and dehydrated. But he's also saying when he gets to his destination, whatever he needs to do to fall asleep, including and possibly referring to drinking alcohol, he does do that. So just so you all know, Anthony Bourdain is also very famous for kind of liking to party hard. He's definitely someone who enjoys all of life's little pleasures, including drinking alcohol. Yeah, so no jet lag is probably not possible, but it can happen if you do it right. For example, the first time I went to Italy, I got on the plane around what was about 5 p.m. in the US, and I fell asleep, and I slept the whole time, and then I arrived in Italy at 8:30 in the morning, and I had a cappuccino, of course. And then I was awake all day, and I got very, very tired around 4 p.m., but I forced myself to stay awake until about 9 p.m. And I fell asleep and slept the whole night, and I woke up with zero jet lag. So it's not really possible, but if you plan ahead of time, you can prevent a lot of jet lag by doing things like he recommends. Okay. Although I agree with him about not getting drunk on the flight, because waking up hungover after traveling across the world sounds like a really horrible way to start a vacation. Okay, so let's read the last section, and then I'll leave the rest of the article for you guys to finish on your own, because I would like for us to have a chance to have a little discussion about travel plans for this year. That's true. Igor says, not to mention you can get angry and wage a drunk. I think you probably mean debate or debacle, perhaps? Yeah, in fact, sometimes people get kicked off of planes for being too drunk. So let's go back to Raphael, if you could finish things off by reading this last section.
Okay. There's almost a good reason to eat on a plane. You never feel better after. Oh, because there's something. Okay, I'll start again. You never feel better after airplane food than before it. I don't understand people who will accept every single meal on a long flight. It's about the boredom. You're much better off avoiding it. Much better up in a new be hungry and eat at even a little street stall than arrive a gassy and bloated, full, flatulent hangover. But just avoid airplane food. It's in no way helpful.
So here's where his really strong opinion comes out. He thinks you should avoid all the food on the airplane. But you have to remember, he's also a chef, so he's maybe perhaps a bit more picky about the food. I don't think I agree with him, because I couldn't go a whole 12-hour flight, perhaps, without eating something. And it's very expensive to buy food at the airport. So when they bring you that nice little plate with a little meal just for you, I think it's hard to turn it down. Okay, any questions about that before we get into our discussion?
What do you mean, boredom?
Boredom. So you've probably heard the adjective bored. For example,
Yeah.
I'm bored. I have nothing to do. So boredom is the noun form of it.
Okay.
When you're bored, you're feeling or experiencing boredom.
Yeah.
So, what's the related about boredom and eating on the plane?
Sorry? Can you repeat?
What's the related about boredom and eating on the plane?
So he's saying when you eat your meal, it's because you're feeling bored. So they bring you the food and you say, sure, I'll eat this, because you're feeling bored. So you're breaking up the boredom. You're keeping yourself entertained by eating the food.
Teacher, one name is street stall than arrive gassy and bloated.
Okay. So he's saying that it's better to be hungry when you get there and eat at one place on the street, a small little station that gives, street food, than arrive gassy and bloated. So when your stomach is full and you're feeling kind of sick to your stomach because you ate this food on the airplane.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so there's a little bit more to the article. I highly encourage everyone to read the rest of the article and look up any unfamiliar words. For those of you who haven't been in one of my classes before, I can recommend this website. They have an app that you can put on your computer that basically allows you to double click on any word and it will translate that word into, for example, English. So it's really useful. There's the link in the VerbLink chat, and let me post it in the other chat, and that will help you if you want to just double click on the words and get an instant translation. Okay, and let's go to our discussion. I have a list of questions about travel, so let's get started. Let's go to Antonio. Antonio, what are your travel plans for this summer or perhaps this year?
So the question is from me. Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
Antonio.
Okay. I continue or I answer the question. I answer the question.
Answer. You can finish reading the article on your own, but for now we're gonna have 10 minutes of discussion.
Okay,
so,
okay.
What are your travel plans for this year?
Well, I go to my town here in Spain. Well, I visit the beaches of the other cities here in Spain.
So you're
preparing.
going to do that? That's going to happen in the future?
Yes, in the future, in the next month maybe. Yes.
Okay, so make sure that you're using the correct verb tense. You want to say, for example, the simple future, I will go.
I will.
Or the near future, I am going. Okay? So if I were talking about my travel plans, I would say, I am going to visit my friend in Germany, in Cologne, and next winter I will go visit my friend in Peru. Okay?
Okay. If
so
the travel is preparing, we use I'm going, no?
Yeah, if you have already planned and made decisions, then you want to use the near future, I am going. That's more if your plans have already been decided.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so do you want to just tell us one more time using the correct verb tense, please?
Well, in the next month, I'm going to visit, or I'm going to travel to the beaches of the other cities of the coast of Spain.
Excellent, excellent. And what will you do there? Get a tan?
I will go maybe Granada, Madrid, or Malaga.
Cool. That sounds excellent. All right. And Antonio, why don't you ask another student in the class that same question?
Okay. For example, the next in the photo, Francis. Hello, Francis.
Hi.
Hi. What are your travel plans for this year?
Maybe if I have money, I would like to travel to visit my mother in the next month. I would like to swim in the beach of Miami. It's wonderful and good food and good different place. I went to Miami the last year and I visited my mom for 15 days. But I would like to repeat the trip.
Yeah, I've never been to Miami, but I hear great things. I'd like to visit sometime in the future. Perhaps maybe when it's not too hot, because I feel like I already live in California, and it's very hot there as well. So I'll wait for it to cool down, maybe go in the winter when it's just nice and pleasant. Okay, great. Francis, why don't you ask another student in the class?
Igor, Igor, what would you like to travel for your next trip?
So she asked me what my travel plans were for this year.
Yeah, she said, well, actually, Frances changed it up a little bit. She said, what would you like to do for your next trip, or where would you like to go if you could go on your next trip?
Unfortunately, I don't have any plans to go somewhere this summer, maybe this autumn, but not this summer, because I have a bit of a problem, because I have a lot of work to do. And I can't get away from this for now. In October, I think I can visit Crimea or Sochi. It's here in Russia. I'm not going to go abroad, but somewhere in Russia will be good. It's I'm going to swim a lot in the sea there.
Oh, very nice.
And get tanned.
That's one of my favorite things to do on vacation is swim in the ocean. There's something that feels so nice about being in the water, and it's so refreshing. So if that's true, you know, when you have too much work on your plate, too much to do, sometimes the best thing is just to take a small trip in your own country. And if you're from a country as big as Russia, there's probably plenty to see.
There is a lot of good places here you can visit. Not like Miami, of course, but there are a lot of really natural things. There is special kind of tourism here. It's nature tourism. There are a lot of trees here or something like that. And you can, for example, go to the Far East, and there you can visit their nature that is not touched by a man yet.
Yeah, so when you're from a big country like Russia or the United States, or as Rafael says, in Brazil, there's so much to see even in your own country. You can get out into nature, you can swim in the ocean if you have the coast. And
the world is a much bigger place than you can imagine.
Yeah, it's true. And there's probably so many different parts of the country that there's so many different diverse areas. Okay, let's keep moving along just so everyone gets a chance before we run out of time. So Igor, why don't you ask that question to another student?
To whomever I like to?
Sure.
Okay, so Shafar, are you there?
Me?
Shafar, what are your travel plans for this year?
Maybe I will go to another islands for my in my country for become a pharmacist. The first year of enter the college.
Oh, okay.
First month. Yeah.
Have you traveled a lot in Indonesia?
I just travel in not many city, but in Bali, which is the best city, which is the I think the heaven. Many people, many tourists called is heaven of the wave or beach in my city, and has a lot of culture. Do you know Bali?
Well, only from the book Eat, Pray, Love. I read that book, and you know, a lot of people learned about Bali from that book, and it made me want to visit as well.
Yeah, I think not only a book, but it has a movie. I have it in my television, and it has interesting story about that. And I will visit Bali again for if I had a chance. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Excellent. Okay, Shafar, your turn to ask another student.
Who's gonna? What about?
You,
Maybe I.
haven't heard from Ivan, Rafa, or Rafael yet.
Yes, I'm gonna ask Rafael maybe for the first student.
Okay.
Uh, what's I'm gonna? Hmm. Do you can you explain city in your country in Brazil about uh how many how many um, people
Shafar, why don't you just stick
uh,
to the question? Shafar, just stick to the question. What are your travel plans for this year? Okay.
oh yeah, what's your travel plan, Rafael? Thank you for help.
Okay. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to travel this year again because I already did. S- And but next year on Carnival time, I'm going to the south of the country. I love going there because it's not very hot, but it's still hot. And about Brazilian weather, I
Mm-hmm.
really enjoy how we feel here when it comes to weather because it's never winter nowhere. It's
Mm-hmm.
never winter.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's a
Mm-hmm.
little bit cold in the south, but even when it's winter, it's sunny. You can go to the beach. So I like to go to the south area, and I'm going to a city called Florianopolis,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to spend carnival time there because of the beaches and because of the people.
Very nice. That sounds excellent. I'm sure lots of people would love to trade places with you, Rafael, and go to Carnival in Brazil.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so Rafael, your turn.
Oh, it goes to Igor.
We've already asked
What should
Igor,
I?
so let's go. We
Igor.
have
Oh, okay.
Ivan and Rafa have not been
Oh,
asked
it
yet.
goes to Ivan. Ivan, when you travel to a different place, a different country, especially, do you think it is easy to find new friends because cultural? We have some differences when it comes to culture and the way we behave. Do you think it is easy?
Yes, why not? Yeah, it's a easy, no problem. A different cultural, different country, no problem. Okay, and um, but actually, my plan for my summer,
Mm-hmm.
I will spend my time in Elba Highland for center Italy.
Wow.
In center, yeah, in center Italy. I will go in Elba Highland the last weekend of August in a motorcycle, and I visited coast by coast.
Very nice. That
Yeah.
sounds like a incredibly fun plan. If you like motorcycles and islands, and that's going to be a great trip.
Yes.
Okay, Ivan, if you could wrap things up by asking Rafa the question about his travel plans.
Oh yeah. What is your summer planner? Summer plan, correct?
Summer plans. Rafa?
Please.
Next Saturday, I'm planning to go to Italy too.
Ooh.
First of all, I'm planning to go to Rome for a week with my wife, and later I would like travel to the north, to Geneva and Florence by car.
Mm-hmm.
To Portofino, I have another reservation there. It's a good plan for this summer.
Wow, that's excellent. The trip to Italy in the summertime. I can only imagine how nice it's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. Sorry to cut things short. We're out of time. We've run over a little bit, but I just love talking about travel plans. So I hope you all have an excellent summer, or next summer you get a chance to go somewhere fun. So thanks for coming,
Bye.
and I'll see you next time.
Yeah.